Can Miami find a way to reignite the culture and follow in the path of the Florida Panthers? What is the Heat all-time starting five? Well, we'll answer that and more on today's episode of Locked On Heat.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to Locked On Heat, your daily podcast on the Miami Heat, whether you're tuning in on YouTube or on your favorite podcast app. Thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. I'm Wes Goldberg here with David Ramil. Both of us are credentialed Heat media members who cover this team every day for daily content on the Heat. Click that subscribe button on YouTube. Make sure you're following us on your podcast app. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Have a great show for you today. This is part two of our two-part mailbag episode. If you missed part one, we discussed some players that the Heat could add for depth at center, plus a lot of other topics. Today, we have questions about an all-time Heat starting five, some personal questions for me and David at the end. But let's start with this one from Adam, who writes in, what will it take for the Heat to bring back their culture and become like the Panthers are today? The Florida Panthers, two-time Stanley Cup champions. And everybody talks about their culture in a way that I think gets Heat fans and maybe the Miami Heat organization a little jealous. When you think about the Florida Panthers, David, what stands out to you? What to you is their special sauce?
I think they just found a good way to build the team. So I don't know. I think we've used the term culture as kind of a catch-all, and it's. I understand that there is a culture to the Miami Heat organization and to the Panthers organization, and every team has a culture. It's just a matter of whether or not they can have a commensurate level of success. Now, in Miami's case, at least with the Heat, I think what we're looking at in terms of culture is a consistency and accountability, a focus on certain aspects of the game and off the court approach that I think have been consistent since Pat Riley joined the team 30 years ago. With the Panthers, I think they just managed to build a team in a very effective way. So I don't necessarily look to the Panthers as the kind of bellwether for what culture should be in South Florida sports. They're successful, but they've gone through a lot of different iterations where I don't know that culture was consistent as it has been for the last 30
It's a new
seasons
phenomenon with them, right?
Yes.
And
they've built
I
a good
think
team. They've done a really good job of building a team.
And you think about what they do have, right? They have a great coach in Paul Maurice. Let's start here. Let's start with what they have and what the Heat have that are similar, right? Let's start on that part of sort of the middle part of the Venn diagram. Great coaching. Paul Maurice for the Panthers, Eric Spoelstra for the Heat. Cool. Definitely both teams have a team first mentality. Team above everything else, right? That is intact on both sides. There is something with the Panthers in that NHL where there's sort of this idea that you go to the Florida Panthers and you have one of your better seasons. And then when you leave the Florida Panthers, you're not as good anymore. And that is a thing that you bring up all the time and it's a great point that you bring. Like it's something that we've talked about for the Heat a lot, where it's like Caleb Martin is Caleb Martin here, and then he's just not Caleb Martin somewhere else, or name the player, not to pick on Caleb Martin. The work ethic, all that stuff, all of that stems from Paul Maurice, Bill Zito, the GM of the Panthers. All of that comes down. That's all Panthers, and obviously we know Heat culture, work ethic go hand in hand as well. So those are the things that are similar, right? Accountability, all that kind of stuff. You hear about that. You hear those terms thrown around all the time with both squads.
Absolutely.
Here's where they're different to me.
Okay.
When I think about the birth of this Panthers, are we allowed to call it a dynasty? 2 Stanley Cups in a row? I think something, whatever this is.
I think it has
the birth
to be
of whatever this is. The trade to trade Jonathan Huberdeau for Matthew Tkachuk was the trade that birthed all of this. They had been in a Stanley Cup and lost prior, and it was a daring move to trade your captain, your best player, for Tkachuk, who was younger and different. He brought a toughness, he brought skill, he brought leadership, he was a great skater, all of that stuff. And they just realized, something in this locker room, we just need to switch it up. And they did it in the most extreme way possible, right? And by trading away literally the heart and soul of the team in Huberdeau for a new heart and soul of the team, and just basically transplanted a new heart and soul into the Florida Panthers. And it worked. They won 2 championships. So then you take that and you add the getting Brad Marchand at the trade deadline, you adding all these kinds of guys, daring trades, gutsy trades, creativity from the front office. That's what's missing, because we haven't seen that level of daring creativity from this front office in quite a while. And what's interesting about that, David, is that is exactly what Pat Riley used to be known for, right? It's the trade it all for the superstar, do the big swap, Tim Hardaway, or who was it for Alonzo Mourning? Not Tim Hardaway. It was
Glenn Rice.
Glenn Rice for Alonzo Mourning. Clear the books for 2 years to make a run at LeBron and CB to pair with Dwyane Wade in 2010. It's those big, daring moves. The Jimmy Butler steal of 2019. We just haven't seen that level of daringness, creativity from the front office, and that's what I think has built the Panthers championship run. And that's the difference between a playoff team like the Panthers had been and like the Heat are now versus a champion like the Panthers are now and the Miami Heat are not.
I think that's fair. You look at the Panthers' moves in order to get to the point where they have been, and I'm not going to claim to be any kind of NHL expert or even a Panthers expert, but they've been willing to take chances because you see these moves being made, and to acquire a player like Marchand, who was like on an opposing team, and it's like kind of taking a swing on, I don't know, Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown or something like that. Like it just, you don't see those kinds of moves happening. Who is the player on the Heat roster who would be the equivalent of having to move? Yeah. Is it Bam?
I don't even want to say it.
I hate to say it, but
I don't want to say it.
Kind of where you had to.
I don't want to say it.
Yeah, I'm never going to advocate that, and I know that he's a very polarizing figure for Heat fans because there's teams who call him bum, or they call him that he's gonna, he's never going to be a good all-star player or anything. I mean, I don't know. And then you have other people who, I think like us, appreciate all the little things he does and recognize his value is beyond just 25 points per game or whatever standard any fan might have as far as what makes a great player. Like, I mean, he's in the news today, so I think it's a worthy point. Like Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal was one of the top scorers in the league with the Washington Wizards. Who would you rather have on the roster, Bradley Beal or Bam Adebayo? And Bradley Beal at his peak versus Bam Adebayo, who's entering his peak, depending on which answer you give, I think that says a lot about how you view basketball.
If you polled NBA personnel, Bam at his peak or Bradley Beal at his peak, I think Bam doubters would be floored by the percentage of NBA personnel who wouldn't even blink and pick Bam.
Would it not be probably very close, if not 100%?
That's what I said. I think they would be floored. Yes, I think it would be very, very close to 100%.
Like, I don't know. Again, I understand the idea. It's like, oh, you got to score in crunch time. You got to be willing to take shots. I get all that. That is important. But to overlook all the little things that he does, it's like a travesty to appreciating basketball. And those are the kinds of things, like, again, that 30 front offices would love to have a player like that, because you never have to worry about that. He keeps his nose clean. He's dating a Hall of Fame WNBA player, and that's as controversial as it gets. That, like any of us, they would want to keep that relationship under wraps so that people don't make a big media circus out of it. It's like, oh, okay, what a he's not going to jail. He loves his mom, like, and he works hard. He's a 2-time Olympic champion. Like, he does all the little things. Like, you never have any kind of off the court concerns. Heat fans, I mean, I don't like chastising this fan base because they're free to have whatever opinion they want. But to not appreciate who they have in Adebayo it's one of the most head-scratching things that you and I have ever seen covering this team. But that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, so, I think moreover, it's not necessarily do the Heat have to find their version of the Huberdeau for a Kachuk swap. I think that would be wrong. Maybe. I just think moreover, it's the daringness. It's the creativity. It's not the trading a captain for a new captain thing. I think it's more of just like having the foresight, having the vision to pick a direction and move in that direction. That's what I think that this front office right now is missing, right? It's seeing the chessboard, it's seeing the options that nobody else is seeing, right? People could say all the time, well, what else were the Heat supposed to do over the last few years of the Jimmy Butler era? That's their job to figure that part of it out. That's their job. is to figure out the move that nobody else is seeing. And that frankly was what Pat Riley used to do. Right.
Yeah.
And I don't, this whole Heat front office, that's what they all used to do. And they just, since basically they turned Hassan Whiteside into Jimmy Butler, Hassan Whiteside and Josh Richardson into Jimmy Butler, they haven't really done that. And, and I think they should be held accountable because of it. But what if we could build an all-time Miami Heat starting five? Who would be left out? We do that next here on Locked On Heat.
Today's episode is brought to you by Open Phone. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had an urgent need, maybe for a plumber or a service provider of some kind. If the first person didn't answer, did you wait? Well, probably not. You moved on. And that's why you need Open Phone. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system built to streamline and scale your customer communications, all from an app on your phone or computer. Open Phone lets you manage business calls and texts from a single app. The shared inbox feature is a game changer because your team can jump into any conversation instantly without missing a beat. And their AI agent handles after-hour calls, answers common questions, and captures leads, so you never miss a customer. Open Phone is offering my listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have any existing numbers with another service, well, Open Phone will port those over at no extra charge. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers. We'll be right back.
Thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Malachi writes in our mailbag, if you could all build a starting five from all-time Heat players, what would it look like? If it was up to me, I would go Dwyane Wade, Jimmy Butler, LeBron James, Bam Adebayo, and Alonzo Mourning. So let's see if we could beat Malachi's starting five here. Do you want to build one together, or do you want to go separate?
Let's build it together.
I think so too.
Let's use a group approach here.
I think we have to start with Dwyane and LeBron. Those guys are in Sharpie, and now we're building a roster around them, or a starting five around them, right?
That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
Would you put anybody else in Sharpie? Like, we have to have them? Regardless of fit, it doesn't matter. The talent is too overwhelming. We just have to have them on.
I have a hard time leaving CB off that list. And I'm a little surprised that Malachi did. And I mean, we're overlooking all NBA defense, versatility, stretchability at a time when that was such a huge thing for a big of his size. There was so much to like about CB's approach off the court and on the court. If he's not in Sharpie, he's like, I'm digging that pen and scraping it right into the roster sheet there. So I don't know.
I'm down. Let's put him in Sharpie. We saw the success. I know it sounds like we're taking the easy way out by just picking the big three. The success speaks for itself. Those three guys know how to play together. We don't have to worry about chemistry. We don't have to worry about Chris Bosh wanting more touches. The disease of more. We don't have to worry about any of that stuff with this top three. So let's put Bosh and Sharpie. The other thing about Bosh is I'm assuming we're getting these players at their peak, but playing in today's NBA. I don't know why I'm assuming that, but I am.
Yeah.
Bosh during the Big Three era, never averaged more than. Oh wait, that's not true. He averaged. I'm gonna do this quick math right here. He averaged 1.2 3-point attempts per game during the Big Three era. And then it got up to like 4-ish after the Big Three era. Nowadays, he would be at 4 or 5 3-point attempts per game easy.
At least.
Right?
At least.
Easily.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see it. And it was so innovative at the time. I think he would be very comfortable, especially with LeBron and D Wade attacking as much as they do.
It would just
I think you'd have to go. Yeah.
7, talked about it too. He's like, I can't believe I was only taking like one a game. But at the time, it was, to your point, like we're like, oh my god, like this is revolutionary, and inverted offense, pace and space, and all these things. So I'm good. I'm good building around the Big Three, and now we just get to pick 2 more teammates essentially to replace Mario Chalmers and Shane Battier and Rashard Lewis and these guys. So, can I give you another name that I think has to be pretty close to Sharpie here?
Sure.
I kind of want Bam on this team.
Oof. That's
Start big. Twin Towers. With Bam and Bosh.
I feel like so like wishy-washy considering how we just talked up Bam in the previous segment, and then at the same time, like when you look at Alonzo Mourning and everything that he's provided, I don't, because you kind of answer the offensive quotient of what you might need from your front court with CB. And so you to have your defensive anchor, who was also a hell of a scorer and a shot blocker, obviously, and everything else that he was defensively. I don't know. I think having Mourning on the roster, I mean, he was so good in his prime here in Miami. It's kind of hard to overlook him. But
who was better defensively? Who was better defensively at their peak, Bam or Zoe?
Oh, it's so different because it's such a different league. And I know fans already are like, old fans are probably saying clearly it's Zoe.
He has won Defensive Player of the Year. Bam does not have that.
Okay, Marcus Smart.
Exactly. Not to Bam's fault. Yeah, Rob.
Yeah, for today's game, like you need Bam out there more than you need Zoe, and that sucks because
unless you're playing with this group, if I was going to take the Zoe angle here, if you're going to start big, would you just play Zoe in a drop?
Yeah,
and then switch everything around it. And in that sense, because you can either play if you have Bam, then you're switching everything. You're switching everything 1 through 5, depending on who our 5th starter is. But probably. So we could either just go switch everything, or we can have Zoe, have him drop by the basket, and have guys like D Wade, LeBron, chase guys over screens, funnel them into Zoe. I guess it's more of a style of play thing. So let's table that.
Okay.
So we're gonna have Bam probably or Zoe or maybe neither of them. I don't think we don't need to put either of them in there. Is there another guy that we have to have on this team? I think with LeBron and Wade, I feel like we need more shooting.
Okay.
So if we're thinking about the best shooters, I think Ray Allen, I think Chalmers, I think
Chalmers?
He's not gonna make it. Capono. Do we want like a Max Strus in here? Do we want a Shane Battier, perhaps, who was really good for that first year here and then wasn't as good that second year? But I'm assuming we get the first year version of Battier.
I kind of like the idea. Like, I'd almost want somebody that's like I guess you would continue to make LeBron your de facto point guard sort of thing, and that's between him and D Wade. I guess you have your ball handling kind of set already.
Yep.
So they're going to run your offense, get everybody into their sets and stuff like that.
I'm thinking we call LeBron the point guard. I think we just pencil him into our point guard, and that opens up a whole lot of interesting avenues for us.
So you need more of I would say a 3-and-D wing.
Yes.
And Miami's had a lot of good options in that regard. And Shane, I think, comes to mind as probably one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
But there have been lots of other options too. I mean, yeah, you can't really go with Jimmy because he's not that kind of player. Like he's just not the shooter that you'd need as much as you would want him on the roster for everything he does. Like his underrated playmaking, which we talked about in the last episode, and all the other things that he brought to the table. You kind of want that too. But I wouldn't necessarily want him on this roster playing off of. Okay, are you going to say Jimmy Butler? Is that
no? Do we need to have? We should have the Jimmy Butler conversation. He's one of the great Heat players of all time, and we haven't talked about him off the roster, out of the starting lineup.
You've got LeBron James on there. Like, I mean, I know LeBron's stint was short, but that sun shone brighter than anybody else's in a Heat jersey for 4 straight.
So you think
years.
It's one or the other? It's LeBron or Jimmy. You can't have both.
Yeah, I don't think you need both. Because LeBron's a better shooter too, even from 3-point range. So I don't think there's a need to have somebody like that. LeBron does so many things well, and as much as I loved Jimmy's tenacity in a Heat jersey, the talent just is clearly overwhelmingly in LeBron's favor. So no, yeah, a 3-and-D player I think makes a lot of sense, but you don't necessarily.
Can I make the case for Jimmy?
Sure, I'd love to hear it.
If you have Bosch at the 5, and we take one of the centers off the court and just have Bosch as our center, is there a room for Jimmy as your 4 alongside LeBron, and 3 or the 4? You know, they swap. You could switch them both out as versatile forwards, and you put D Wade out there with maybe another shooter. And now you're asking Jimmy, you know what? Be our Andre Iguodala. Score a little bit here and there, but just wreck defensively, make a bunch for us, and you're probably going to be open quite a bit. because there's going to be so much attention paid to guys like LeBron and D Wade and Bosh that you're going to be able to take your time like you like to do and your 2-second wind up into your standstill 3-pointer. Like you're going to have that as many times as you want. Is there a way that he's sort of like, and I don't even mean this at all disrespectful, like the Andre Iguodala, Lou Dort type, but just like an obviously crazy over,
Well, if
Hall of Fame
we're
version
even
of that.
if we're even talking like peak, are we talking about Chicago being his peak?
No, it's got to be Miami uniform.
Okay, so in the Miami Heat, okay, because I was gonna say because he shot the three significantly better in Chicago than he did in Miami. I mean, there were most seasons there where he shot much better. So I think I could see that. I could see that being a good fit. So I'm willing to entertain that option, but I'm willing to keep others as well. Right now, I would say if you're looking for that versatile 3-and-D type player, I would say probably Battier or Jimmy.
So I'm thinking we're basically we've got LeBron, Wade, and Bosh as our core three.
Yes.
We've got another spot that's going to go to either Bam, Zoe, or Jimmy. And then we need another floor spacer. We need either a Battier. Is there another Battier type? Is there, like I said, is there a case for a Duncan Robinson or a Max Strus or somebody even from
Posey,
a James Posey?
Like those, I mean, Posey was underrated.
Who was the best version of that? Like you said, the Heat have gone through a few of these kinds of players. I still think Battier might have been the best version of it when he was on.
Too. Okay. I think so too. The unwilling, and like there's a reason why he was a part of 220+ win streaks in NBA history. Like, it's not to say that he was the largest contributor, but he does so many of the small things that do help in that regard. So I think that's a big part of it too.
Would it be worth somebody like Battier? Would it be worth eschewing the defense just to get Ray Allen in there? Because we have good defenders basically everywhere else.
If you're keeping Jimmy on the roster, so I would be comfortable with Allen there, because then Dwyane is your kind of, well, Dwayne's your 2 or 2-3 kind of thing between him and Ray Allen, and then you've got LeBron at your point guard. Oh. And then Jimmy and or Battier alongside Bosh. That's a heck of a roster. Is that the Heat's best all-time roster? I don't know. This feels like an exercise you can go so many different directions there, and I feel like, again, like doing, not including Zoe, it feels like a major disservice too.
I know. Well, so the Zoe lineup, I think, would be LeBron, Wade, Bosh, Zoe, and Ray Allen. I think that's the Zoe team. I think if you go with Bam, you go LeBron, Wade, Bosh, Bam, and then I need somebody who's can still hit threes but be very switchable. So now I'm going Battier. I might even go Max Strus, honestly, at that point, because he was pretty switchable defensively too.
Whoa, that seems.
But I think I go Battier. I think I lean Battier. You can even go Posey, honestly, on that. But I think Battier was more switchable. Battier could guard 2 through 4, basically.
Yeah. Sure, there's another name out there that we're probably.
It feels like we're forgetting somebody.
Yeah.
And then if we go the Jimmy lineup, I think it's LeBron, Wade, Bosh, Jimmy,
Allen.
Yeah, probably Ray Allen.
3-point shooting aspect, because you've got enough defense from 2 through 5.
Yeah.
So that
I think we hedge it there and just give you the options. We have one last mailbag question that we'll get to after this.
Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. You ever wish managing your money felt easier? Well, with Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. And I've talked about this before. One of the things that you'll notice once you start using Monarch Money is how much you're spending on things that maybe you can afford to cut back on, whether it's an extra night out on the town or maybe a few meals being delivered to your home or office, because we've all been there. You'll find out just how much you're spending, and you can track all those expenses and then realize maybe I can afford to cut back on that. So if you're looking to save some money and build towards something bigger in the future, well, Monarch Money is the choice for you. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA, and get half off your first year. Be right back.
All right, last mailbag question comes from Cody, who writes in, not Miami Heat related. I'll save those for other subscribers for now. But what are Wes and David's favorite music artists of all time, or top 3 if it's hard to narrow it down? Burning question. David, I welcome the non-Heat questions, especially in the offseason. This is fun, but
Absolutely. I know your top number 1 already, as you do mine. So
yes.
We've kind of danced around this specific topic, but I like opening up to a top 3. I could even go top 5 if necessary.
If you got them, rattle them off. Go ahead. So Fish.
Yeah, you took all the fun out of it leading up to number 1. But yeah, my clear number 1, as I've talked about before, been to dozens of shows, been following them for a long time. They're my boys. Fish number 1 clearly, and then number 2, keeping in the same vein of the jam band aspect. I'm a big Deadhead, so lucky enough and unfortunately old enough to have actually seen the Grateful Dead with Jerry Garcia. So that was a fantastic show for my 21st birthday, and really took advantage of Shakedown Street and all the things they had to offer there. So really great day. I'll just leave it at that. Third best band, I would say probably Led Zeppelin. Again, rock and roll, always my favorite, and Led Zeppelin is my third favorite. Fourth, probably the Beatles, and fifth, band up maybe a lot of people don't know about, the Black Crowes. Just a big Black Crowes fan, always have been, and always will. Yeah.
Favorite Zeppelin album?
Led Zeppelin 3. Give shout out to Houses of the Holy.
I love Zeppelin 3. I love Physical Graffiti is one of my favorites too. I mean, we could just talk Zeppelin. Zeppelin is probably Zeppelin's in my top 5 for sure. I grew up on that kind of classic rock, what we consider now classic rock, or I guess even my music is classic rock now. So whatever.
Yeah, that hurts, right? Doesn't it? That hurts.
I know. I actually heard my number 1 band, Green Day, on a classic rock station.
Until they start calling it oldies music. They start calling it oldies music. They're like, "What? Get the hell out of here!" F you.
So, but yeah, like I go back to like what I grew up with, which was a lot of my parents' music. So it was a lot of Zeppelin, the Ramones, so a lot of like New York punk stuff, the Sex Pistols, the Clash. Some of the other. I loved Paul Simon growing up quite a bit. I still love Paul Simon.
Really?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Simon and Garfunkel, or just Paul Simon?
No, Garfunkel was riding his coattails, as we all know. My wife and I actually argue about this all the time because her and her family are a Garfunkel family.
I love
me and my family are a Simon family.
I love this. That's fantastic. What a thing to argue about in 2025. Like, I mean, that it's caused like this Romeo and Juliet split down family lines. How you feel about Art Garfunkel of all things? I mean, that's fantastic.
But if I had to narrow it down to a top 3 at this point in my life, it's probably, I don't even know if I have a top 3. I go Green Day is my all-time number 1. That was formative for me. I've been to 100 shows. Those are my guys. Tyler the Creator is probably my favorite hip hop. I listen to rock and I listen to hip hop. Tyler the Creator, and I don't even know if you consider him hip hop anymore, but he's one of my all-time favorites. I love Mac Miller, R.I.P. I know we're not supposed to talk about this anymore, but like pre-2020 Kanye West was amazing. It's been very problematic since then, but he was probably my favorite artist along with Green Day before he lost his brain. So those are sort of those are my guys.
That's fair. It's a good list, a little bit different, but I could see why. I mean, I think you just grew up in a different era. Like, I mean, there's music tastes vary so much, and so I love hearing about all different people who love all kinds of different musics. I mean, for some people, there are people who like primarily pop acts and things of that sort. Although I think pop how it's defined now has changed a lot over the course of my lifetime. Even
it's a lot of
so
country
there's always,
now, right? You've got like pop country. If
can't wrap my mind around it.
well, it's a
Cannot
different
wrap my
genre,
mind
was
around
what
it.
I figured out. Is there's country music and then there's pop country, and the pop country is I'll just stop myself there. But I don't want to. The one thing I just want to say, if anybody ever asks what kind of music do you listen to, this is just a word of advice from a guy who really loves music. If anybody asks you what kind of music do you listen to, don't say everything. Don't say that. You might as well just say nothing. Just
Okay.
it's a horrible way to continue a conversation. That's somebody asking you a personal question and you're just saying yes. That doesn't further the conversation. That tells me that you've never thought about the question, which means you actually don't like music that much. So just give me something. Nobody's going to hold you to this. It's not, hey, you get to listen to one band for the rest of your life. What is it? Go. It's just, hey, what kind of music do you like? You know what? On the way here, I was listening to blah, blah, blah. That's how people have conversations. It drives me crazy when people just say everything. It drives me nuts. You hear it on Love Island all the time, David, and I can't stand it.
This is 2 episodes in a row you brought up Love Island. I feel like you're dying to make this a topic of a show, like a full 30 minutes on Love Island, and comparing Heat players to different Love Island characters. I don't know what you'd even call contestants or whatever.
Contestants. It's a competition
yeah,
show.
I guess. Is it?
Basically sports.
It's sports and bikinis. Who doesn't love it? I'll piggyback off of that and say I dislike, and this has happened to me over the weekend. Oh, I love everything except jazz. It's like, well, then you don't know what the hell you're talking about. If you like everything and you just don't include jazz, that's insulting.
What do you got against jazz?
No, that's what I'm saying.
I know what I'm saying. I know. I agree. Like, why single out jazz? Like, do you even listen to jazz?
You know, because jazz is, you have to have like a real different approach to music to be able to comprehend it. And I feel the same way. I'll tell the story. I don't want to go too deep down the rabbit hole, as well, I can't. But like listening to Fish the first time, like you'll probably get a headache. And I feel like that's actually the folds in your brain having to like shape themselves in order to be able to accept what you're listening to. And I think it's the same thing with jazz, like to hear the different ways that there's so much going on, and the changes in the music and everything kind of just builds up, and next you don't have no idea where it's going next. Like that's how people feel about jazz. It's like, oh no, it gives me a headache. I can't stand it. It's like, okay,
You might as well say I listen to everything except Beethoven. I know he wasn't a jazz
people
musician,
do.
but it was very similar in that, like, it probably just don't like because there's no words, I love jazz.
Where's the
I listen to
peppy
jazz every
chorus?
morning.
Where's the peppy chorus? Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen today. For your second listen, find the Locked On NBA podcast where there is no offseason. Doug, Matt, and Hayes keep you up to date on contract negotiations, rumors, and everything you need to know to be the most informed NBA fan, except no Matt this week. Instead, I am filling in, so you definitely should check it out. Find Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.